It's Packers week, and the Minnesota Fighting Vikings are looking to stomp down, beat down, liquefy, turn the Packers into queso. Woo! But not too spicy there, don't you know? Because we're Minnesotan and we find ketchup spicy. It's like Heinz changed the recipe. Shit. Anyways, Vikings are having to play well in all three phases, and the Vikings three coordinators spoke to the local media jackals on Thursday and said some great things. Also, small thing, but it's very cool how Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are empowering their subordinates and really giving them experience and exposure. I mean, weekly press conferences with the coordinators, getting them in front of the media, getting them in front of. So here's what's gonna happen: whether it's Phillips or Daniels or even Donatel, like they'll have a great press conference. Their unit will do very well. That's what she said during the season, and a GM is gonna look like, hey, I like that guy. I like the cut of his jib. He's a great coach. Maybe we'll bring him in for an interview, and maybe they'll give him a chance to be a head coach someday. Same thing with Kwesi and his underlings during the draft, where it would be scouts, it would be directors introducing these draft picks. And it's like, yeah, if you're an owner someday or a part of a search committee, it's like, hey, we're looking for a GM, that guy. So it's really cool how they are really empowering all of these guys and just really trying to help them level up in life. It's fantastic. But Wes Phillips, first at the dish. Kevin Seifert, ESPN Go, who's not called Carl Gerbschmidt. Wes Phillips said he has worked on the sideline and in the booth for game days during his career, but always from the booth when working with Kevin O'Connell. They feel like they have a good process and connection for quick and efficient information exchange. Now, this was about Wes Phillips being up in the booth. You know, Phillips is the offensive coordinator, except Kevin O'Connell is going to be calling plays from the sideline. It's a dynamic that you see all over. You know, Sean Payton, Pete Carmichael with the Saints, Andy Reid, and his 17,000 coordinators with the Chiefs and the Eagles, and of course Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell. Their dynamic with the Rams. Also, Kevin O'Connell, and then Zach Taylor was a quarterbacks coach. So Sean McVay and the 12-year-old boy Matt LaFleur from back in the day before he went to Tennessee to call plays. Doesn't matter. But Wes Phillips being the eye in the sky, it's just going to be good because Kevin O'Connell can obviously see what's going on in the field. Kirk Cousins can obviously see what's going on in the field. But having Phillips having that instantaneous eye in the sky look, as opposed to having to look at it on the blue iPads that they call Microsoft Surface tablets, official tablet of the National Football League, it just makes sense. So they can do that in real time. Plus, since that's how they've worked before, it does make sense. Because with the Rams, Kevin O'Connell was on the sideline most of the time with McVay, and Wes Phillips, even though he was tight ends coach, he was also passing game coordinator. He was up in the booth. Sean Borman, go. Vikings OC Wes Phillips and Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith impacting opposing offenses. Those guys have been phenomenal. With Danielle's ability to play on the edge as a stand-up player, people are going to really, really feel him this year, and I'm excited about that. I'm pumped too. Where Danielle, not every player can make the transition from a 4-3 to a 3-4 and vice versa. But I think Danielle, even though he's been a hand-in-the-dirt defensive end, I think that he does have the athletic ability to be a stand-up outside linebacker. He's great against the run. He can move all over. His positional flexibility is going to be on display. And it's going to be a long day living in Reseda for offensive lines around the league, because not only do you have to deal with Zadarius, not only do you have to deal with Diesel Dalvin and Harrison Phillips, and but you're going to have to deal with Danielle Hunter all over the place, whether he's on the left side, the right side, over a guard, over the center. So it's going to be a long day. Special teams coordinator Matt Daniels. By the way, Matt Daniels is freaking hilarious. Like, not gonna lie, if Daniels wanted to get out of the coaching game and get into stand-up comedy, he would be good. He would be good, man. Alec Lewis, the Athletic Vikings special teams coordinator Matt Daniels on Jalen Reagor, whom we got Big J journalist here, whom he has had respect for as a punt returner for some time. Actually, I'll admit, I do not know the proper usage of the word whom. So whenever I see it, I just assume it's correct. Got him. But this is what Matt Daniels said. He's a very stout, cocky-built guy, narrow, thick, strong legs, big glutes, really nice calves. I was salivating over this dude. Matt Daniels, ladies and gentlemen. I love him. And he's not wrong. Like, Jalen Reagor is an absolute athletic freak. Kevin Seifert, ESPN, who's not Carl Gerbschmidt. Matt Daniels said he had been salivating over new punt returner, blah, blah, blah. Jalen Reagor since pre-draft evaluations 2020. And a media guy that spooks the punt team. Speed to the edge, attack vertically, going to be a problem when the ball is in his hands. Now, Another problem is when the ball is not in his hands. So, like securing the punts. But I think that Jalen is going to be phenomenal back there. Also, King Kene returning kicks. I think the Vikings in the third phase are going to be good to go. Speaking of those muffs, Rager had a tough go in the 2021 playoffs with 2 muff punts, but Daniel said Devin Hester dropped balls. Josh Cribbs dropped balls. What we can't allow that to do is affect our confidence. Maybe his confidence got affected a little bit last year in that playoff game. Also, I mean, he could... Come on, Matt Daniels. Like, he could have slipped in a little Marcus Sherrill's reference. A little pride of Rochester, Minnesota, John Marshall High School, Minnesota Golden Gopher. Woo! C for Ed Donatel at the dish. Donatel said he thinks defensive lineman Jonathan Bullard, who was limited Wednesday in practice because of a biceps injury, will be ready to go Sunday. Bullard is listed as a starter in the 3-4 base. And with the jettison of Armand for Watts, Bullard, who really looked impressive in training camp and preseason, finally looks like he found himself a home. You know, he's bounced around the league, came in as a day 2 selection out of Florida. I really liked his tape at Florida, just never really got the time of day with the Bears, who drafted him. A bit of a journeyman, but now Bullard looks like he's got himself a good situation here with the Vikings. And then lastly, blah, 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 blah. The Vikings mostly like Jonathan Bullard for his ability to play the run. He brings a tremendous amount of experience, said Dalvin Tomlinson, Minnesota's other first-string defensive end. He's a superstar in the run game. I'm looking forward to seeing him produce this weekend. And, you know, that's the thing about moving from the 4-3 to a 3-4, where in the 4-3, your defensive ends are getting after the passer, handing the dirt. You know, we're talking about Everson, we're talking about Daniil, we're talking about Jared Allen, we're talking about B-Rob, etc. But in a 3-4, your defensive ends are basically interior defensive linemen in that their job is to set the edge, be good against the run, also absorb bodies to allow your edge rushers, which are your stand-up outside linebackers, to rush the passers. So the defensive ends playing the 5-tech, slightly outside the shoulder of the tackles. Like, your job is to absorb the tackle and be good against the run and just take up bodies. And that's what Bullard is extremely good at. And anything that you get out of him in the pass rush game is a bonus. But that's it. That's the press conference. Vikings coordinators, Wes Phillips, Matt Daniels, and Ed Donatel. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts. Great Cavs, man. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.